Hi guys, welcome back to the shop. Today we're going to be looking at how to sharpen a chainsaw blade. Here's the blade I've just taken out of the saw. There are many ways you can sharpen these things. Some people use a round file. There's files you can get specifically made for the purpose. The teeth aren't actually that hard. They're made to be able to sharpen with the file. File is harder than these. These aren't too blunt, but I'm often cutting old hard dead trees for firewood, and basically I like to keep them right on razor sharp so that it's a bit easier. Chainsaws are generally meant to cut through green trees, trees that have just been felled or about to be. Anyway, I use this little gadget here. Basically what happens is the blade goes into this little slot down the bottom here. You can set your angle on this part here. I normally set it to 30 degrees. This thing's made by Ozito. You can get them from your regular hardware store. They're not that expensive, and basically you get what you pay for. Our friends in China make these things, and it's all plastic, quite iggly-biggly wobbly, but with a bit of practice and a bit of care, it does a fantastic job of sharpening your saw. And it's not as though you sharpen them every day. Anyway, I'll give you a bit of a demo on how it works and how to adjust it, and we'll go from there. On this blade, we've got, you can see here, there are two teeth that face the same way. That's just because of the length of the blade. They couldn't do a exactly even number of teeth. So I generally use that as the place to start and stop, so I know when I've gone right around. If your blade has an even number of teeth, just colour one in with a Sharpie so you know where you're up to. So I've got that set on 30 degrees down here. You can't quite see that. There you go. Once we've cut you go around, cut every second tooth around that way. Once you get right around, you swing it 30 degrees the other way, and then cut every other tooth. That makes sure all your teeth are the same. Or well, not the same, they're all opposites, but they're all equal height. And if you get equal height and equal angle, one going each way, your saw will cut straight. If you're cutting it with a file or sharpening with a file, you'll end up with just a few variants here and there on your teeth, and your saw ends up going down, cutting an angle, and they're really hard to use. So anyway, without further ado, this thing here is just used to measure the back of the tooth, so we know we get it in the same place. Try and use an even amount of force against here, and just clamp it down. All this stuff is adjustable to suit your blade. Alrighty, this thing's not loud, so we won't need earmuffs. Certainly got my glasses on. Everything except go, just the green one. So with that clamped down, that one in place, we should just be able to get a little. That's about it. It's got a depth stop, so I can't grind too far down, and there's a stop around here that lets me adjust how far to take off or how much to take off. I don't know whether we'll be able to see in here. Which one did I just grind? That one. You can see that one there is nice and shiny down on that face. You only ever grind the inside face in here, and that's given it a really sharp edge on there. You can see it underneath the gunge here. I don't cut myself on it now. There it is, underneath the gunge. You can see a line right back down the end here. Can you see that? That's basically how far you can sharpen them. Once you get right down to there, right down to here, blade's finished. You can chuck it out. But you can see this blade's pretty new. I've got lots of grinding to go on this one. Let's just go around the teeth and sharpen it all up. Do the next one now. Same amount of force as before. And come along 2 teeth. Rinse and repeat. Alrighty, that's back to the beginning. Got 2 teeth the same. Now what we do, we open that clamp at the bottom there, spin it around, close as you can get to 30 degrees the other way. The more even the angles are on this, the straighter your saw is going to go. Let's clamp down. Now we'll just move on to the next tooth, which faces the other way. Put the stopper in the back, clamp it down, start her up. Round we go. That's it. Back round to where there's 2 blades the same. I've already done both of those. Okay. I normally go out with 2 blades. Here's my other blade, and I sharpen them both together. That way, if I'm out and I'm doing a job and one of my blades goes blunt, I just pull another one out and put it on. Pretty frustrating trying to saw something once your saw is blunt. You're just trying to finish a job off. You end up with, you know, when it starts to go blunt, you start making powder instead of snowflakes. If your chips look like snowflakes, your saw's going well, and if you're just cutting powder, probably a good chance your saw is blunt. There's one other thing I'll show you when you're sharpening your saw. I'll just have to change my setup a bit. Okay, I've just put the blade back in the saw, and I've mounted the cutter bar in my vise. You'll see there's a little gadget in between each tooth. Now if I put my straight edge on here, there should be a gap between the straight edge and that little gadget in the middle there. What that's for? It's a depth gauge. Basically, this one just rubs on the wood as it cuts, so that limits how much each tooth can cut each time it comes around, because that'll hit the lowest part of the groove. Basically, you don't want you be taking too much, or you just be stalling your saw all the time. So as you can see, there's a clearance angle on this tooth back here. So as you grind this tooth down this way, it gets lower, and so each time you grind it, it'll get closer to this little guide here, or depth gauge. So what we'll need to do is, as you grind them, I'll just see if I can get a feeler gauge in between those two. I'll set it on the top of each cutting edge, because they're also sloped off to one side, and I'll see what the gap is in between there. It ain't going to be much. There's probably a recommended size. I'll start with 3/3 of an inch. I don't have metric feeler gauges, so get over that. So 3/3 goes through there when I've got it all held down. It's a little bit tricky to measure. I'll try something a bit bigger. A bit sticky. What do we got there? 10. What's that one? What's those two? There's a 1.5 and a 6, an 8, a 2, a 4. Let's try the 4. Four goes through. Let's try the 6. I would have thought it had been smaller than that, but that goes through as well. Let's go for 10. If I can get it lined up there. Or 10's a bit grabby. It's a bit hard to get an accurate measurement. But you can see 10's a bit grabby now. So what that means is the gap is somewhere between 6 and 10. Oh, I'm going to leave it alone. But what you do is just give it a touch with an angle grinder. Just get ding and knock that one down a bit once the gap is too small and you're not... Because basically your saw won't cut anymore. No matter how sharp your teeth are, it's just going to rub on those things and your saw won't cut. Anyway, that pretty much sums that up. Yeah, don't cut with a blunt saw. You waste your time, you wear your saw out. It's hell on the cutter bar. So, yeah, keep your blade sharp. Get a hold of one of those sharpening things. You look like a professional when you're out there cutting with a sharp saw. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you on the next one. Can't really see you.